Welcome to the Commercial Kitchen Chronicles, the podcast dedicated to the commercial food equipment repair industry. My name is Pat Finley. I'm a lead master certified technician at General Parts Group and a certified Sufesta trainer. My goal is to shine a light on what I believe to be one of the most interesting and rewarding industries a field service technician can work in. I love the work I do, and I'm glad you're here listening to this podcast. In this episode, me and Dusty talk about goals for 2023. So what's going on, everybody? Today I have Brendan Daly with Garland. Brendan is a pretty cool dude. He's got a pretty decent story. Don't let that title fool you. Brendan actually spent some time out in the field, and we'll get into that coming up. So, Brendan, thanks for coming on, buddy.
I appreciate to be invited, and thank you very much. We'll see where we can go with it today.
Yeah, Brendan is, I want to say global service manager, but that's not true anymore. You're the service director?
Yeah, I got a tick mark this week. So, yeah, I got promoted recently to service director for Garland globally.
That's cool. So, Brendan, as you can tell, is not from the United States. I won't hold that against him. But you want to give us a little background on how you got into the industry before you get started?
Yeah, so I started as an apprentice in the bakery industry back in 1999. Worked for a family company. So, done that until 2005 when I started becoming an engineering manager. So, still on the tools, but I had a small team. Then 2008 took over the company. Started working and launched the MWE3. It launched that in the UK, and then joined Garland there. So started as a contractor, and then when I sold my company, joined Garland permanently and worked in the Europe area, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Done that for 4 years, and then was given the option to come over to the US. So come to join you guys and see how you do the same thing but very different.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Just everyone has their own little tricks and tips.
Yeah.
Brendan's been a huge asset to me. I met him a few years ago doing a train-to-trainer program, so where I was trained to train our technicians in the field and stuff. And he has the right attitude. He understands the technicians. That's a great part about him. A lot of those guys you go to training and it's by the book, by the engineers wrote, and then Brendan's back there. Don't do that. Do it this way. It's so much easier and faster. And then, okay, that's the way you do it. It's like it works.
That's the life of it, isn't it? I mean, the aim is always to do whatever we can as quick as we can, but efficiently as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So if the book says do it one way and you can find a better way, we're all up for best practices. We have the videos where we try and teach it and make life easier for people because this job's hard enough as it is. Customers are more demanding, so yeah, everything quick but done right.
Yep. Be safe and do it right. That's all we can ask for. So, for anybody that doesn't know, Garland is part of, well, I don't even know what to say. I was going to say Well-Built, but it's Ali Group now.
It's Well-Built Ali Group, so just to be really confusing.
So it's a pretty cool company. A lot of different pieces to the pie, to the puzzle. But Garland has a pretty cool story. They do a lot of cool stuff. They're everywhere. A lot of places you guys wouldn't even know. So can you let us know what all Garland has to offer? I mean, we're pretty much going to focus on one thing, but they offer a lot more than just that one thing.
Yeah, so Garland originally is a stove oven company, so ranges, char broilers, upright broilers, all the traditional cooking equipment. We then moved into clamshells with McDonald's back in the early 90s or late 90s. Since then, we've grown the clamshell business, and now the clamshell is a big chunk of what Garland's about. So a lot of our effort moves into the clamshell grills. It's also a lot where our business growth is, and a lot of customers nowadays are really pushing for it. So yeah, I'm a clamshell specialist, less so on the general market gear because in Europe we really don't have many Garland pieces. We have the restaurant range, and that's really about it. So my world was blown when I joined Garland in the US and realized how many other things were there.
Yeah, that's cool. I see, I go to a lot of schools. I see a lot of Garland ovens and stuff there, but most of my stuff is always back on the clam grills. So clam grills have been around since the early 90s?
Yeah, we started with the MWE 95. So I think in the US it was out middle of the 1990s, a bit later than that in Europe. And then it's just been built up with McDonald's, then Chick-fil-A, General Market, and more recently Wendy's, and there's a new launch coming up with Chili's and Whataburger. So really exciting times for us.
Yeah, I started cutting my teeth years ago. Probably shouldn't have been doing it like a lot of other guys working on Garland's and McDonald's, and hey, go out and certify this grill, and it just absolutely hated life. The old MWE, pull the back off, you're like, where's everything at? It's all just buried in the grease, and I mean, it's part of it, but it was cool. It was definitely different. It was fun. The different variations they've had. So was this what, probably Gen 4 or Gen 3 or what?
This one would be officially, I guess, Gen 4. But there's so many reiterations of, we have the standard compression grill. We have the McDonald's version of it, the Chick-fil-A version of it, and now the active compression. So we're probably near a revision 6 or something of it with all the different parts we do. But everything below the elements is the same. And then depending on the customer, you get a different grill surface, or you get Barmer sensors and auto recognition for McDonald's. You get, the griddle bars for Chick-fil-A, or for the active compression for Wendy's. And a lot of the new customers, it's just where it locks a plan and is much better for cooking raw products.
Yeah, that active compression, it's the first time I seen it, I kind of freaked out because I had the training, and then seeing it's a lot different than the online training, and then get my hands on it. It was like I was like a little intimidated, but it's pretty cool what it does. I mean, as long as everything's level and where it should be, it does a pretty good job. So I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, it's not as complex as it looks. I mean, like you, pal, when I first saw it, and more, I'm in the office these days, less on the road. So, I went out to a site. Well, I still go out on the sites occasionally. I was at one today, earlier this week. And, the first bit, you take the cover off, you think it's like what I know, but it isn't the same. And you get that little bit of fear. And then once you learn what the lights do and the new systems, things become a lot easier. But, it's getting over that first fear and looking for the information and asking the right questions.
Yeah, I always tell everybody, I say this all the time. I'm like, people are like, how do you know all this stuff? I'm like, oh, I don't. I just know where to find the information. So if you can find the information, you're golden. So
yeah, and don't try and be an expert at everything.
no.
None of us can be. I specialize in grills, but if I had to do the many different brands you guys do, it becomes a lot harder. I mean, when I was a tech, my speciality was really fryers, grills, whether that was Taylor or Frymaster or Henny Penny or Garland. All of them is what I would work on. And then I found one that I preferred and suited my logic. And then you specialize in that. So for me, that was Garland, and that's where I am now.
Yeah, well, in our area, you can't work on Taylor unless you're Taylor. So I've only done the Garland stuff. I've seen some Taylor grills get taken out. I pushed them out the back door and kicked them over by the a few dumpsters in my days. But
throwing them down the stairs.
But yeah, so I've only done your guys' grill, and I mean I like working on them. It's a challenge at first, but I started off the MWEs trying to gap that thing, and you could be in a world of hurt in a matter of seconds. To these new ones, it's pretty much like I can gap a grill in like 30 seconds, and I'm cooking chicken or burgers, and it's great. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I think people still overcomplicate the gapping. We've done a lot with the new tool, a lot of the processes, and even the last generation. Once you understand it, you can gap it really quickly. But people get freaked out by it. They over concentrate, they over focus, and then they get lost. So, we done that new video. I think you saw it on the YouTube channel, just on gapping, trying to simplify it. It really is pretty quick, and if you stick to the same recipe, you should be there every time.
Oh yeah, I mean they're all the newer, the Pearl or whatever I think is what you guys call it, or the newest release. They're all so much easier. It's just the McDonald's, you have your little fine tune adjustments you can make, and then the Chick-fil-A, you check it in 3 spots, and I mean I haven't had any problem with them. The only problem I had was when I thought that setting for the little ball gauge was different, and I set it, and I tried cooking, and I was like, holy cow, what did I do? And that's the thing I messaged you, and you're like, no, it's not 250, it's 400. And I was like, oh, no wonder I messed up.
You'd be surprised how many do it. It's so simple, but again, if you're not working on it every day, it's those little things that trick people up. And more often than not, we find techs get tripped up by the obvious because they panic and then they don't sit back and watch it.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. I mean, you think you got it, you go through it, and all of a sudden you turn it on, you cook, and it's like, oh man, what do I do? And then you really freak out. Like I did everything the way I was supposed to, and then, like you said, 400 versus 250 is a big difference in that world.
Yeah, and I say, in the old days, you go outside and have a cigarette, but in the modern age, we don't have cigarettes. You can have a vape instead.
Dude, when I first started, I smoked, man. And every time I get freaked out or frustrated, I'd just go up to the truck and I'd sit there, or I'd stand up to the side, open the side door, and smoke like 2 cigarettes and just like calm down. And now I'm just like, I just look at it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to the restroom. We gotta get away. I mean, that's the problem. Guys will stand there and just stare at it and beat themselves up. I'm like, you're not doing yourself any good. Just go away. Go for a
Yeah.
walk, go outside, call somebody, just go breathe, listen to a song or something, get away and
I think
regroup.
you got to be disciplined. Have you? You know, we used to say if you can't fix a grill, you can't identify the issue on a grill within 45 minutes, you're probably not going to get there. That's when you need to call for help. And I get it quite often. And one of my old apprentices, I was on site with him last year, and we had an issue that they had a new store, bad installation. Power was wired up wrong. We blew it up, and he started a stopwatch. You got 45 minutes. It's like, I don't need it. And I was lucky. It was an obvious one. So
That's
sometimes
funny.
what you say bites you in the backside.
Yeah, I was taught the 45-minute rule, and I still teach the 45-minute rule. If you're not making progress, you're not gaining headway, you better start calling another tech. You better call tech support. You better do something. 45 minutes. If you're not gaining, you're spinning your wheels. It's time to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what does the clamshell do that a regular grill doesn't? A lot of people don't know what this is. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have never seen inside of McDonald's or a Wendy's or a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, so I think the best way to describe it is a clamshell grill is like the Ferrari of cooking burgers. You could have a standard, you could have a Buick or whatever, and you could do 0 to 100. It's going to take you 10 seconds. You get a clamshell, it's like going 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. So, the idea of the clamshell is by cooking top and bottom at the same time, you push the steam back in through the cooking, which actually generates much more heat and cooks it through much faster. So if you take a McDonald's burger, for instance, we're all used to it. If you were to cook a standard McDonald's burger on a flat grill, it's going to take you, I don't know, 4 minutes. You cook that same burger on a clamshell, it's done in under a minute. Depending how you want to cook it. The other thing gives you consistency. Fast food restaurants are all about consistency. It's about performance. So it allows you in a 36-inch footprint to cook, 3-4 times the amount of burgers you would if you had a flat grill. It also ensures that the operators can cook it consistently. You're not sending over raw meat. You haven't got to worry about it being dry because the computer deals with it at the time it comes up, and therefore you get the standard system every single time. That's really what the opportunity is. It's fast, consistent, and can be operated by relatively low experienced people with very minimal training.
Sweet. So yeah, I mean, like you said, you can cook. I think it's 42 seconds or something. I think it's what's factory programmed to come out or something.
Yeah, depends on your country. I think 37 for you guys in America, 47 in Europe.
So you guys like them dry?
We like them dry, overcooked, but there's also less fat in it too. So
Oh yeah, different
it cooks
suppliers
much
for
slower.
beef, so that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So over the years, there's been several different gapping techniques. We won't go over the old ones. It was a
Yeah.
constant battle. So you went from 4 points to what? The
4
NW
points to 3.
4 points to three, and then you're still at
Sorry,
three.
we had 4 points to 3 points, and then we stuck at 3, but we were still trying to gap 3 points using 4 points on a gapping tool, and that caused a lot of issues and a lot of people chasing the tails. Which is why we now go 3 gapping points and three positions to check and level.
Yeah, some of them you're only changing 2 positions. That third one's fixed, stationary. So
Yeah. So it makes it even better. So you just start your gapping with a fixed position and then you make everything else match it. If you do it that way, you're doing great. If you start with one of the adjustable positions and then move to the fixed point, you then got to start all over again because you've got to use a controller to adjust it.
yeah. So what I always do is I always just use the 80 mils. I just use the little L bar. I've got the ball tool, but I've used the little L bar my entire life, and so that's all I know. So I just use it, and unless I don't have it, I think the one time I didn't have, I think it was the McDonald's opened up and didn't have the L bar. It had the tool, the ball tool or something. I can't remember which one it was. And but I always just put it at 80 and see where I'm at. Go in and test it. Most time you're going to be off. I try to get it to 80 where the front hits, and I start working my way around, and then try to get it even. But I'm still moving it up and down. But I mean, that's just how I've found it easiest for me. I'm sure there's a much easier way, but it works
Yeah,
out pretty way.
everyone's their own. But I mean, for me, I always find the fixed point. If there isn't a fixed point, you just pick on an area. So you
Mm-hmm.
start on one point, you gap it. I mean, my preference is a ball gauge. The only reason I prefer the ball gauge is you do the front left, do the front right, and then at the back you can go straight in the middle of in the rear, just under the adjuster. You can't do that with an L shape. So if you do it with an L-shaped tool at the back, if you check the right side and then check the left, you're going to have a difference. So by using a ball, you always get pretty good consistency.
I think I stick with the L gauge just because I have a lot more Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, and
So
for Chick-fil-A, it's easier.
I do a ton of Chick-fil-A, so I think it's just what I stick with and it's what's easier. I've had a Chick-fil-A call that's absolutely beating me up. I had a bad relay board, and then I got it all back up and running, and I was like, why am I only pulling half amperage on one of my top elements? Pulled it apart, top element, one of the sections is blown. I was like, this is ridiculous. So.
Yeah, it's a big part of the challenge, the installs, and there's so much turnover in the field now. Trying to make sure that every tech is up to speed is even harder, and that's one of the challenges I think we face at the moment is how do we communicate what are the standards? Every customer is different, and everyone's got their own preference. So communication at the moment is probably one of the hardest things to nail. And I can write a communication that works for me, but you read it, makes no sense at all. So that's the other thing we really struggle with.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's weird. Like my son works with me, and he's younger, but he's like around me, around the family. I mean, I've known him all his life, and like he's real outgoing and stuff. And I get him in front of customers, and he just shuts down, real quiet. I'm like, people in the office are like, this isn't your son. We've heard all these crazy stories about him, and he's like, he comes in here, he doesn't say a word, he just hangs out in the back, refuses to come up here. I was like, I don't know. It's like I don't get it. I mean,
he'll learn when he gets confident. The true kid will come out.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I was like, you just gotta relax. Like he's all worried about, we're changing some probes, and they've had, I won't name the company, but they've had some issues with probes, and whoever welded the bungs in the bottom of the fry pots didn't do it right, so they're all at an angle, and you literally have to bend the probe to get the fitting to go up in the fry pot. And he was all worried he's gonna break it, and I was like, bend it, you break it, you break it. It was broke when you got here, dude.
Yeah, you know what? We all break stuff as we go. I
Mhm.
remember the first board I blew up, and that was a Fry Master with the old DC switches, and that 1 minute it was there, the next minute it was a puff of smoke, and it's like, how do you explain you've just written off $1,000? So I had to go back to the office and say, yeah, we need to order another board, and it's like, well, why? Well, I kind of toasted that one. They weren't best pleased about it, but I mean that's the other thing for us. We got to own our mistakes when we get out there. I think one of the service techs put a pretty good review on recently about integrity, and I thought it's a fair point. It's very intimidating with the customers. They are very demanding, and we're human. We make mistakes. So the key is to own it and say, okay, what makes people really angry is when you get it wrong and don't own it. It's key, but you got to get that confidence, and the customer will. If you've earned the respect of the customer, they'll forgive you. If you're new and they don't know you, they just crucify you.
Yeah, I've always I always tell a story. There's a manager at a restaurant, and I walked in, and I had just started here with General Parts, and I walked in, and he'd never seen me before, and they warned me like, man, he's gonna try to bully you. And I walked in, and it was a 480 volt fryer, 120 volt controls, and I had a problem on the 480 volt side. It wouldn't heat, but the controls came on, so everybody's, well, it's just not heating, So I was trying to figure it out, and he's just back there just belittling me, berating me, do you know what you're doing, that kind of stuff. And I didn't say a word to him. I just kept trying, and eventually I had enough, and I just put my stuff in my bag, and I just walked to the door. And he hit me. He got to me before I got to the back door. Was apologizing, the nicest person in the world. Then on out, he was my best friend. I'm like, don't take the crap from the people. Just don't give it back to them. They want you to be negative so they can use that against you. So just don't say anything or be nice, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, they're good. I when I had my own company, I was out working just on an escalated issue, and because I hadn't been on the road for a long time, they hadn't recognised me in an area that I'd driven to. So I'd done the repair, came back to the shop, and I got a phone call from the customer complaining that I'd sent a new technician who didn't know anything. And I'm like, yeah, what the guy look like? He said, oh, yeah, he had brown hair. I said, fat guy? Yeah, he's a bit fat, 4 eyes. I'm like, yeah. I said, that's me. Best thing I've ever done. You couldn't write it. But what he wanted to do is save $20-$30 on the job. That's all he was trying to do. It's like, seriously, if I was a tech I didn't know, you could have just cost someone their job.
Yeah, I mean, that's the bad thing. These customers, I have a customer, we will literally send them an estimate. They approve the estimate. It comes in cheaper, and then they still fight the bill. I'm like, you approved a higher amount. How are you fighting this? I'm like, I don't get this.
Yeah, it's difficult. I say, I'm European based. American service, I still find scary. it's very expensive. So
Oh yeah.
it's also very different. You guys can work in a restaurant that's much bigger. You can pull the equipment out. You can work on it in the back. So in Europe, we have to get in, get it fixed, and get out of the way. So you'll watch 24/7 when you're in a restaurant. They watch everything. They ask, they question you. You walk into a restaurant, you don't get, how you doing, how's your day. The first question you get is how long you're going to be. Because we'll work in a cook line in most places. So it's a very different experience. It's taken me a while to get used to people pulling equipment out because we just don't do it.
Yeah, my big ass would not work out in the UK. They'd see me walk in and be like, "No, you can leave. Someone else is going to come."
Even both of us, most of us, I can only just get around the back of the grills, and then if we're changing an actuator in the UK, we'd put it out, we'd walk in behind it and pull the grill back in so they can walk past it, and we'll change an actuator under the hood and things like that. So it is very different. On the flip side, it actually makes it a lot quicker, but it's not a pleasant environment as a technician. It does make it a lot harder.
Oh yeah, you get behind that grill, and you gotta have all the tools you need to do it, or you're screwed. You're pushing it back out,
Yeah.
climbing back out. Yeah, I can see that being kind of crazy. I didn't even think about that. I remember we talked about this in the past about how tight the kitchens are. I didn't even think about that. That's not for me.
Yeah. No, we got a lot more room than they got in Japan too. So
Oh my
I had to
gosh.
climb over a grill in Japan to slide in behind the back, and I'm not a small guy, so it was. I would have loved to have video watched it and seen myself trying to squeeze in this little space. These guys were doing it every day, but the guys out there, they'll change an actuator on every job in an hour, start to finish. They're just phenomenal. But there's no
Man,
testing. They just switch it, throw it in.
talking about actuators, I did the Cardinal Sin on one. I thought I lost a finger. Actually, I thought I lost two fingers. It was a Chick-fil-A grill and it was up, and I didn't think about putting anything under it. I was just trying to be in a hurry, and I had pressure on the actuator. And I pulled on it and it actually smashed my finger on the metal bracket between the crossbar, and it smashed the two fingers there. And I was scared to look. I heard it and I didn't say a word. I didn't look. I sat there and I couldn't pull my hand out, so I grabbed a screwdriver and I pried it up, pulled my hand out, and it was just blood everywhere. I was like, my fingers are gone. They were there. They're scarred up, but they're still there. So I was like, I'll never do that again. And I've been doing this for 15 years. I mean, this was like 6-7 months ago. I did it. I was like, just got in a hurry and just forgot. Hey, you should put something under that platen before you try to do anything. And now, I know better. Get the platen down, and now, I got jumpers. I put my drill battery, and I just run it up and down that way. If I got to change it, so.
Yeah, I think we all learn, but I also think the more experience you get, the sloppier you get.
Oh yeah.
I was terrible for electric shocks when I was out. I was probably giving myself one every month. Not major, just a low one, but you try and do stuff live where you really shouldn't do. And I come off the road and you go from being a technician to a manager, you're looking, you're like, what the hell are you doing? They're like, well, you showed me how to do it. It's like, oh, God. It's really interesting how your opinion and your view changes depending on what size of the fence you are. And even, from now as being a service tech going to a manufacturer, it's such a different view on what you see and how you see things. I would love for everyone to switch sides just a couple of weeks in the other people's shoes. I think it teaches people a lot of things about what they can do differently and what we can learn. I think it's maybe something we don't do enough in the industry is kind of sharing and crossing over. It opened a few eyes, I think.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, you get guys like me. I answer the phone. I help a lot of guys out. My company and other companies about. I mean, I'll help anybody out. There's enough work out there for everybody. I mean, I'm not trying to keep secrets. I wouldn't be doing this if I was trying to keep secrets. I wouldn't be trying to share the information, and try to get other people involved. But you call tech support line and the guy's asking me 20 questions because he's got a routine he has to follow because that's just how it's set up. And I'm like, I'm just so frustrated. I'm like, no, I'm not stupid, and I kind of beat up on them. I'm like, man, they're just doing their job, and you never know. I mean, I probably do know more than a lot of guys, a lot of guys answering the phone, or, maybe it's just he's having a bad day or whatever. But I think a lot of people, if they spent a week on the tech support phone line, they'd rethink how they talk to, the tech support people.
Yeah, we do it with our guys. We hire a lot of ex-techs. They come in on the support line, and it's almost the first question we ask them. So, how was day one? And they give you that bewildered look, and it is tough, and it's tough being a tech ringing in because you're trying to describe something that you can see, touch, and feel, and the tech on the other line is trying to do it from memory. So, Yeah, I think there are always that arguments where you gave me bad information. It's like, you gave me bad descriptions. It's like, come on, guys, work together.
Yeah.
It is a challenge. It's the ones that I get frustrated with are I want a part. Well, have you looked in the manual? Well, yeah, but it's in my van. Well, you waited 20 minutes on hold. You could have got the manual and got the part number.
Everything's
Um,
online anymore, man. It's so easy. If just about everything's online to find.
yeah, but
So
yeah,
many.
we'll learn. It's going to take time. I think the industry's changing very quickly, and technology is starting to really come in. So we'll all get that much better, and year on year we'll get better. And I think as long as we keep customer focused, I think then we'll keep it in the right place.
So you mentioned technology. So the younger generation, I've got my son. He's 20. I've got another guy's 30 that's training under us right now. And I mean, my son, he's always been a hard worker. He's played sports. He's always spent time in the gym. So, he wants the hours. But then you got the other guys, 30, and he's like, I just want to do my 40 and go home. And like trying to find that balance with these guys it's getting harder. I guess people think I'm an idiot because I work the way I do. But I mean, I do a lot of dumb stuff on the side and have fun. So I got to pay for it somehow. But I mean, I don't have to do it. I just do it. But I mean, we had a guy that worked for us for about 9, 10 months, and he did on call twice. And his second time on call, he came in, turned his 2 weeks notice, and said he didn't want to be on call. He wasn't going to work here anymore. I was like, holy cow! I was like, dude, you knew that going in. He's like, yeah, but I'd never been on call, and and he didn't even have bad weeks. I mean, like I think the first week was like 52 or 53, and the second week was like 56. I'm like, dude, I've had like 87-hour weeks, man. I was like, you didn't get anything.
Yeah, I think it's a lifestyle. Being a service tech's not easy. The truth is, as a service tech, you're only there when there's a problem. Someone's
Mm-hmm.
disappointed, someone's not happy. So you are getting beaten left, right, and center. But it is a long time. You can have plans, and you're just on your way home, and that last call comes in. Kiss goodbye to your plans. It never happens on the day that you don't have plans, but you can guarantee you organize something special. The wife's all excited, and then you don't turn up. So it is a real tough industry, but it can pay very well, and it can get you to a salary point way beyond what you would have expected. But if you don't want to do the hours, you'll earn an okay living.
Yeah.
You'll plod along. I think probably our biggest challenge is, and maybe you see it now, is when you're a service tech, trying to elevate yourself above everyone else and get the opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real tough one. I was lucky. I was in a family company, so I had that career path. But there's a lot of really capable guys out there that just don't. Yeah, they're going to get stuck almost being a service tech because the opportunities aren't there. It's 200 good people for every one opportunity. And then you get comfortable with the wages. When you're a good service tech, you earn good money, and then you go into management and you take a pay cut. Everyone's like, "What the hell?" So
You sound like you're describing me.
every
I've
one
been,
of us. I was the same. I took a pay cut from being a service tech, and it really hurts. Like, do I really want to be a manager? And there's so many very capable people in the industry. There's not a lot of opportunities, and I think that hurts us as an industry. You've got to have a good can-do attitude. You've got to work really hard, and there are options and there are
mm,
opportunities, but generally you have to make them yourself. And if you're not going to, and you're doing all this good stuff, and it's really promoting you and putting you into areas where possibly wouldn't be otherwise, but it's real hard to break that next level.
oh yeah, I've been beating myself for the last 24 hours looking at like YouTube analytics and podcast analytics and stuff. I'm just like, I was ready to quit. I was ready to throw it all away. I was like, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? And then I was talking to my dispatcher. She's like, just stop doing it. I can't do that. I was like, that's not me. I don't quit. I was like, I'm gonna run it out for a while and see what happens. If I don't start getting traction, maybe it just goes back to once a month. Maybe it's not gonna be every week or every 2 weeks. So I don't know. I said, it's fun. I said, I've met a lot of people. I said, I keep meeting cool people. So I'm gonna keep it up. I said, but it's frustrating because I'm all over social media and Instagram. It's like you see these guys come out of nowhere that had no following. All of a sudden, they have these huge followings. I'm like, and they're putting out just junk content. I'm like, you're not helping anybody out. I'm like, how are you growing? I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And then all of a sudden, an attractive woman that's an electrician had like 200 followers. Next thing you know, every post she's in a skin tight T-shirt and she's got some tool in her hand, but you don't see her doing any work. And all of a sudden, she's got like 15,000 followers and she's got deals with all these tool companies. I'm like, this is absolutely stupid. I was like, I hate this, but I mean, it's more than that. So that's why I'll keep doing it. I mean, as far as like creating your own, your own destiny. I mean, when I came to General Parts, I had left GCS. I wanted to do refrigeration. I bounced around from 3 other companies in 2 years. I had health problems. I was wrecking vans. I couldn't be insured, so I kept losing jobs. And I landed here, and Gary took a chance with me, and I just never looked back. I always volunteered to do the night jobs. Always volunteered to do the installs. I'd work the weekends. Someone got hurt or sick, they couldn't do their own call. I'd step up and do that. A lot of it was greed and necessity at first. I needed that money, that extra money, because I was struggling, for years. And then I just got to where I took on all those roles, and it's really paid off in the long run. I mean, I do a lot of cool stuff that a lot of people don't get to do, but it's fun. And I've had people tell me, you better get out of the field where you can still get on your knees, or when you can still bend over, or you don't hurt in the morning. I'm like, well, I'm fat, so that ship sailed a long time ago. So I mean,
Yeah.
who knows? One day it may happen, but I'm gonna ride it out as long as I can. I've thought about going in the training side of it, and that was a goal I talked about, 5 years ago. But in a 10-year span, which would be 5 years from now, that I want to be in like a technical trainer side for general parts, and I didn't want to come out of the field 100% because I feel if you come out of the field 100%, especially in my market, I would do so many different things, I'd lose relevancy. But in your market, you guys focus on one thing, so you can, it's not. I don't think it'd be as near as a challenge for you guys. But I wanted to be a technical trainer, traveling around training, and then come back and work a couple weeks, or work 3 weeks, or work a month, or whatever, then go train. But I don't know what's going to happen with that. With this, everything's gone on in the last 3 or 4 years here with us, so we'll see. I mean, but like you said, you're in charge of your own destiny. If you want to go places, you're just got to work for it and show them you
Yeah.
can do it.
And it takes a long, hard amount of work to get there. I mean, it also, when you're a technician, it's really hard to stop being a technician.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I still go out now, and I love going out and getting that instant gratification that you get when you fix something. It's no one has to come and pat you on the back and say you've done a great job, because you've done a great job. You don't get that in office work. You don't get that in training. I mean, I like training, but I find it bores me quite quickly. So
Yeah.
I can do a class a month, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
But if I got to do it every week, it would just destroy me.
Yeah.
I just pick on people in a class instead, as I've done to you or anyone
Oh
else
yeah.
that does it. It's how I enjoy it. It's that interaction. So it is challenging. You've got to find what it is you like, and you've got to drive down that. You seem to really like variety. It keeps you entertained.
Mm-hmm.
General Parts have been very good. They've given you the opportunity, and you've created the opportunity to do it, and it's got you some great recognition. So
Mm-hmm.
you should never forget that what you've achieved in the last few years is huge. And I'm sure it's not about a tight t-shirt wearing handling a tool. I normally wear tight t-shirts because I'm fat, and no one's ever made me famous on Instagram because of it.
Yeah. No, it's been a great career, dude. I can't. I've had opportunities over the last. I've been here coming up 12 years, and I've had opportunities to go to places. We'll pay you this. We'll do this, and like that. I don't have a reason to leave here. I mean, I get to do a lot of cool stuff. I train Garland, I train Frymaster, I teach at the fest a couple times a year. They support this podcast, they support me and all kinds of different stuff. And I wouldn't get that anywhere else. I don't think. I mean, maybe I could, but I'm not willing to give up what I have here to find out. I mean, they all treat me good. I've met a lot of cool people. I mean, I've been to NRA. I met all the people at Partstown, toured the facility. I'm going to NAFM, which I'm doing that on my own, but I'm going down there. I'm gonna meet up with all the GP people down there, Parcel people down there, and I'll get to hang out with them. And I'll get to see some manufacturers. And are you going? You probably won't go.
No, I'm not important enough.
You're not a sales guy,
and I'm not.
I'm going on my own. I tried getting them to send me down there. They're like, no, we don't see it. We don't know about this right now. And I was like, well, I'll just take vacation and go on my own. So.
Yeah, I got to start getting out there. One of the big changes with the Ali Group purchase is the brands are taking more control again.
That's what I heard.
So there's a lot of things. We've been pretty hidden for the last few years, and I know, I've been in the US since 2018, and very few people know me. Partly I haven't put myself out there, but we also haven't needed to. So it's a bit of a cultural thing. I've got to get out there, meet a few more people. It's not that I don't like meeting people. It's just that it wasn't the focus. So I think relationships go a long way, especially in this industry. I will be in a few, but until then, I'm just going to follow you around like a little lapdog, waiting to see what offerings of meetings you'll send me at. So I get to hang with the cool kids.
Yeah, it's definitely a wild ride. I mean, I heard that about Ali Group letting everybody kind of be more independent, I guess, not so much under the thumb, I guess. Is that, I don't know if that's really what's going on. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's not so much under the thumb. It's taking everything from a centralized brand, and then putting it back to the brand specific. So where Well Built would control a lot of what we've done and give us our direction, now the brand is in control. So it's a real big cultural change. The last 6 months have been a bit of a whirlwind. They're starting to settle down now, and we're starting to gain control of what it is we can do, what we can't do. But it's really exciting for us. I think everyone in the brand, there's some definite fear for people. When you make changes, it really impacts people's jobs and things like that. So there's definitely some people that's been very scary from, but I think most people have done pretty well and they've settled into a new location. So I think overall it's been good. Taking the odd individual personal experience away from the people that have been unfortunate and maybe lost their positions. But I think those that have kept the positions, I think all of us are saying, this is a positive move.
so is that going to lend to like more like development or more research or more?
Um, I'm not sure it's going to say more. I think what it allows us to do is decide where we're going to focus.
Okay.
Well Built was very much about innovation. I think under the Alley Group, it's more about you've got to have innovation, but you've got to make sure you're doing it right. It's not about being first at the table. It's about making sure that you're right at the table and what you've delivered is what needs to be there and it's built right. So, I think for us as Garland, the future is very bright. We've got new leadership, really positive changes. There's a lot of people that have been in the company for a long time, a lot of passion that I think sometimes you lose a bit when you're not in charge of your own destiny. So there's some great energy around the building. It's a lovely place to work. It's a lot of hard work. I'm still in the office. It's 7 o'clock. I got in this morning at 6 o'clock. So it's long days, but we're making a change. And like everything, if you're making a change and you can see the positivity of it, it's worth the effort.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think our big stuff's coming up this year. I think they're making a push, change everything over to try to make everything within the PT and limited service group. One big, make everything the same. It's I've worked for General Parts for 11 years, and we were General Parts, but yet there was 29 branches, and it was everything operated 29 different ways. So say if I went to Seattle and trained, the guys were like, "Hey, how do you guys get paid for this?" I'm like, "Oh shit." I got to play dumb. I'm like, I don't know because everything was different. You'd say one thing, and also I got a manager call my manager. Why is he saying this? I was like, I just quit. When they answer questions like that, they ask me questions. I just no, I don't know. Oh, you go talk to your manager. Just play dumb. But I think moving forward they're going to start streamlining everything, make sure all the service companies are doing everything the same. So we'll see where it goes. I mean, they've taken care of me. There's people that have quit, left organizations because they got bought out by PD Holdings, and I mean, until it truly affects me, I'm gonna ride it out. I mean, they've treated me with respect and love, and given me a lot of opportunities. So I'm not gonna beat that up. So, I mean,
Yeah, I think it's more about the relationship you have with your line managers, your dispatcher. Doesn't matter if you're in a good, bad, or indifferent company. If you have a bad relationship there, you're going to hate it, even if it's a great company. If you have a good relationship, even if it's a company that's not where you want it to be, those relationships make your day worthwhile. So, bit of advice for anyone is make those relationships work. A bad company can be a great company, and vice versa. A good boss goes a long way. And I'm not going to interview any of my team on it because they might tell me that I'm not a good boss. But I'm going to think I am.
So let's get back to grills for a little bit. I got a couple more questions. So Chick-fil-A, there's two generations. I haven't seen a first generation anymore, so I'm pretty sure those are all pretty much gone.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that the second generation's around because it's so much easier to work on. It's probably far cheaper for the customer to service too. I mean, before you had the embedded thermocouples. If you lost thermocouple, you're changing the whole heater plate. I mean, it was kind of crazy. But the new ones are, I think, far better to work on, and I enjoy them a lot better. So, I mean, I haven't seen a Gen 1 in forever. I've thrown quite a few in a scrap pile, I'll tell you that. But
yeah, they got made obsolete a couple of years ago, so you can't get the parts for them. We've seen a couple turn up on eBay. You got to love eBay. You can buy anything. But if you buy it there, you're not going to be able to service it. So it is a proprietary to Chick-fil-A. It is just for them. So we shouldn't see any around. I know there's a couple of stores that are holding on to them, and why they work, they're kind of nursing them along. But yeah, they're long gone. We introduced a second generation. I think we're starting to see the next round of replacements for those early second generations,
So
but nothing in the pipeline yet to replace them.
So did Chick-fil-A order them obsolete then? It wasn't your guys' decision. Chick-fil-A just said do away with them?
Yeah, it was their choice. They work with us. Yeah, they're a great partner. They work really hard with us to develop the technology, to push us and get the best for them. So they realized the second generation was a significant improvement, and all credit to them. They obsoleted the first generation and put a big rollout out because they understood the long-term benefits.
Sweet. So my biggest complaint right now, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. There's a lot of guys that said it. I think someone said something about a boil out feature, which really wouldn't matter. So
Yeah.
new grills, GFCI breakers, and moisture issues. Not cleaning issues, but say you go out, do a new startup and you're tripping a GFCI. What should the technician do to help speed up that dry out process, that kind of stuff? What do you guys recommend?
So, a couple of things on it. We've done a lot of development work on the elements. We now have a silicon infused element. What we realized is the moisture was being held in the insulation. When you heat it up, it'd go into a gas form. When it cooled back down, it was going to the end of the elements and filling those up. So it's only 3-4 milliliters of water, but that would trip the GFI. So we now started sealing the top of those element posts. So all clamshells as you move forward should be sealed. So we shouldn't need to do a boil out. The boil out was necessary to stop the trip out the following day. So easiest way to do a boil out: remove the access lid, turn it on while you're doing the commissioning. It'll heat up. Once it's up to temperature, give it another 20 minutes, and then just screw the access lid back down. That's a successful boil out. You got rid of the moisture. One of the things we've highlighted, and we're still doing a lot of work around it. Anyone who's done the active compression will understand we're facing some tripping issues with sensitive GFIs and some water ingress issues. There's little O-rings on those screws that hold down the access lid. What we've realized is when you take them off and then put them back on, if you over torque it, you're tearing those O-rings.
Yep.
So we're just in the process, and hopefully in the next week or two, we'll launch a new kit. We'll stop you being able to buy high limits. If you do buy them, it'll be a new kit. So it'll have a high limit, the 6 O-rings, the gasket. So you'll have everything you need to make sure that stays watertight. I think if I look at the part usage, we never change those O-rings.
Yeah.
So if a customer does get a little excited, then we ruin them. And because the first thing we do is we tell you to do a boil out. Well, if you do a boil out, the first thing you do is potentially damage those O-rings. So we're kind of fixing one issue and creating a second issue.
Yeah, I've got a grill right now that I have to. I've got high limit kit. I've got new seal for the small hatch. It's a active compression, so it's not the top hatch; it's the small hatch. So I've got to change the seal, high limits. I was given the part number for the gasket between the whole upper platen and the cowl, so I don't know if I need to do that. I don't think I
shouldn't need to do that.
I guess why I didn't think it was a problem. So I think it's just the hatch gasket, and then Tom wanted me to go ahead and change the high limits, and then make a new jumper between the high limits. He said that always fails. So
we got a new high limit link coming out. So that link you've just mentioned, the moisture attacks the insulation, so it goes brittle and cracks. So that will also be in the high limit kit. So you'll get everything you need. But we are also changing the cowl. So in the next probably in the next 3 to 6 months, we're actually getting rid of the access hatch. So it'll be more like a Chick-fil-A, where if you want to split it, it's going to be a lot more work.
It's going to be fun.
It's a little easier than Chick-fil-A, but it's the same idea.
I've made a video on it, and then I turn around like 3 weeks later, I see that you guys put a video out. So I was like, hey, yeah. So too bad, when they search Garland Grill, it goes to you and not me. Damn it.
Yeah, well, we'll give you some brownie points on it, but no, the new cowl will have no access lid, and that should mean that it's a little harder to get into it, but the work we're doing should mean that you don't have to get into it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that I look forward to seeing that. And I've talked to you and Tom in the past, and Chris and they hit around about the new cow coming out. And I think I ran into Tom, before Thanksgiving on this one actual particular grill, and he said that that you guys just got tooling into to start testing it. So I look forward to seeing it. I think it's going to take care of a lot of issues. A lot of customers say it's training, but an open store, when his grill's installed, it's the middle of the night. You try to get people there, they're going to train on it. The manager comes in the morning, you're waiting on them to come in. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to deal with you. They just want their grill running. They want you out the door so they go in the restaurant. And, it doesn't get communicated on up the line. And the problem is not the morning crew. The problem is always the night crew. At the end of the night, coming in there. And, and I get it. They're trying to clean it. I mean, I've seen some of these AC grills that look brand new. And unfortunately, they don't run, but they look brand new.
Yeah, there's a balance, and
Yeah.
it's always trying to find that balance, and it's a bit of behavior. So, we're all working together as a partnership with customers, trying to make sure that we can move forward with it. But for sure, it's definitely causing a few challenges, and they're working hard to improve on the training and get that understanding that it is different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's little by little. We'd like a quick win, and so would the customer. So say if we keep working together, we'll definitely get there, and then everyone benefits.
Yeah. I mean, I like that active compression though. It's when I first, like I said earlier, the first time I seen it, I was freaking out. I was like, "What is this? What does this thing do?" I watched a video before I touched one. And the YouTube thing that first rolled out, or the Zoom meeting or whatever we were doing, they first rolled out, and I was like, "Oh boy, I'm so screwed." Then I seen one, and I was like, once I played it, I was like, "Oh, this is actually pretty cool."
Yeah, and it is, as I say, it does scare. The videos are on there. You can do the online training, but it doesn't account for experience. We've had this discussion a few times. We got a lot of techs out there that have done the videos, have done some of the face-to-face training. It still doesn't take away that worry when you first get to one. You've got to have that experience, and that takes a few to go through. And there's some lights on there to help the diagnostics, but it isn't as scary once you've had a couple of experiences with it. But first of all, we all panic.
Yeah, most of my issues have been like a blown fuse for the AC board where something's gotten wet, and by the time I get there, it's either dried out or I get it dried out, and that's the first thing I do if I have the error for the platen, because if you blow that fuse for AC, you lose your actuator too. It's it's dead in the water, so that's the first thing I do. Pull it off. And I just look for look for lights. I'm like, oh, I don't have lights. Okay, find the fuse. Oh, fuse is blown. Okay, let me check for shorts to ground or whatever. And if I don't have anything, put a fuse in there and see what happens. And I mean, it's not bad. It's new. Like everything else, you freak out the first few times you see it, and then now it's just like, okay, let's do this, and this. And
it becomes habit, doesn't it? And we probably didn't do a great job of explaining the fuses, so we have to split the lanes up. We had two 10-amp fuses protecting the whole unit. If you blew one, you lost the whole grill. So now there's the 10-amp fuse, and then there's a 3-amp fuse per lane. So in theory, we can lose just one lane, but then we also hid the inline fuse for the active compression board.
Yeah,
even me, when I first got it, I didn't realize it was there, and the guy saying to me, "I've got half the lights on, but the other line," I'm like, "Well, we got a bad thing. We're running through it," and I'm like, I looked at one, and I'm like, "There's a fuse somewhere," and then sure enough, we found it. So the biggest trick with the active compression board is you only lose half the lights. So people do like we do with everything. You look, you go, "Oh, I've got LEDs, the power's to it," but actually it isn't.
Nope.
So normally those shorts are off the switches. So as I say, we built it. We got a lot of things going through. We're constantly trying to make it improve, make it easy to work on. Our next drive is really simplicity. Sometimes we let the engineers get excited, and engineers never stop designing. So they make it more complex, and then they make another complex thing to fix something else. So now we're trying to dumb it down. I keep trying to say to them, the difference between an engineer and a technician is we keep it simple. They like to get clever. Simple is easy to fix. So we're working hard together on that one.
Yeah, and it's cool for people like you. You've been in the field and you still try to get out in the field, but you have to be with engineers, and it makes it a lot nicer. When they listen to people like you. So I appreciate having you in there, and helping out.
Well, I'd say it's me and the whole team. I got a very strong team of senior guys and the field tech guys. So we discuss all the issues and the issues that we get from the field techs and all the issues you guys find. And then we try and find solutions. And sometimes it's a bit of okay, sorry, guys, we've got to suck it up and deal with it. Other times we can actually make things to make life better, but that nothing ever happens as quick as we want it to. That's the downside to it. But we're making good steps. The engineering team's working really hard, and they are listening. And that will give us a fantastic product. I mean, we've got a fantastic product, but we can always do better, and that's what we strive to do. It's continuous improvement.
Yeah, so that leads me to training. You guys are you guys back to in-person training besides what you guys do in Cleveland, or? You guys traveling stuff yet, or what's it look like?
We're not doing the traveling, just really because of we've tried a few different things, and when we go traveling, service companies just don't have the scope to pull that many guys off the road. So to send a grill and a trainer, it costs quite a lot of money. We turn up to a restaurant, we turn up to a facility, we expect 30 people to turn up, and then we get six. So there's a real
Yeah.
disappointment there. I also really hate the 30 people training. If you're going to train, it's got to be no more than 12. So we do the in-house face-to-face in Cleveland. We were working with Frymaster, trying to find if we could share facilities, give different locations. We kind of put that on the back burner for the moment, just while we're trying to understand where we're all at. And they got some bits, we're moving parts around. So hopefully we'll get back to that. We'll be able to use more facilities and offer more training in different locations. But when we go to a training site, we have all the equipment there in Cleveland. We can train on the active compression grills and McDonald's grills or Chick-fil-A. They're there for us to rip them apart. We've got rid of you're in a class and you're going to watch 8 hours of presentations. None of us learn that way. We like to tear it apart, break it, fix it, and then see what happens. So that's really probably the biggest change to our face-to-face training, but we can't do enough of them to keep the industry happy. So what we recommend now is do the online training. It gives you enough knowledge to be dangerous. Go and get some experience, and then I would say come to the face-to-face, because then you've got experience to relate to when you're looking at the face-to-face training. When you want to tear the grill apart, you can do it with a thought process in your mind of, I came across this, now I want to understand it. And that's really why we split the two up.
Yeah, so my son works with me a lot of times. So he's seen some girls. He's doing some online stuff right now for you guys. So he's probably got a head start on most guys. They're probably doing the online stuff. But so he's learning. But like I said, it used to be the training program. I don't even know if that's what it is anymore. So
you done the first one, didn't you? Because that was the one that I done in Texas.
Yeah,
that
we
was
did it in
first
Texas.
ever.
And dude, I mean, I'm setting up training for it now. So we were talking yesterday about if it's a level 2 or what it is, and my thing is the guys can watch the videos, but you're going to struggle to gap learning it from a video. So I have 2 grills. I have a gas. I have electric. They're single lane grills. I try to keep it 6 to 8 people because I only have 2 units, and it can be a headache. You're gonna have a lot of guys standing around if you get more than that. But I got some training coming up this year, so I'm gonna get some guys trained up. I got some guys in the area, not my market, but in the state of Indiana or in Kentucky that need some training, and they're just getting beat up. And they call me all the time, and I help them out when I can. But I was like, I don't have the time to teach you how to gap a grill over the phone, man. I'm like, and he's like, well, I called Garland. They told me to watch the YouTube video and hung up. And I was like, well, I doubt they hung up, but they probably did tell you to watch the YouTube video.
Yeah, we're trying. I mean, we put the new YouTube video up. We put the new animation up to keep it simple and easy to follow. That is the challenge. Is at the moment we're seeing massive call volume coming into center. The guys don't have the time to step when we're quiet, they'll happily walk someone through it. But when we're busy, it is a push. So we do tend to push towards the self-help videos. But I think the level 1, level 2, level 3 is the right way of doing it. So our level 1 really now is online. All that's going to teach you is where to find a component, what buttons to push to make it work. Level 2 is the intermediate. To me, that's someone who's done 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, they've worked on them a bit. They've got a base knowledge, and then you can teach them about the fault finding, the best practices. And then what we do in Cleveland is really the level 3. So that's guys that have a couple of years experience, and then it's a hour and a half run through the presentations, the updates, and then just tear the thing apart and do what you want to do. If you've got a certain thing that you didn't understand, replicate it. You haven't got a customer pushing you to get ready. So it's really an open opportunity for people to explore. And there's 6 to 12 people there. You can feed off each other. And I think there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah, I had a great time. I think I was the first class when Cleveland opened back up, with active compression. And you were there, Robert was there, Tom was there. There's a lot of you guys there. Kind of weird.
We were heavy-handed on that one.
So it was fun. I mean, tearing them apart, and working on programming, making cooking programs and stuff. And that's the same thing I try to do with the stuff I teach. Is there's not really a book on what I teach, but okay, this is how you do this. Let's get in here and tear it apart. This is how you split this. I mean, I just tell them the only thing when we leave, it has to work because the next class. So
yeah, and I used to pride myself in no course was ever the same. because you get a different group of guys in with different experience levels. You have to tailor your training to that level. And some people would say that's wrong, but for me, I found that gave me the better feeling that the guys had picked up what we'd done and what we'd gone through. But you do have to gauge the people you're training, tweak it, change it. It's really easy to lose interest for people when they're in a training session and they don't follow it.
I think that's all I have. What do you want to cover, or are you good?
I'm good. As I say, it's been great to catch up with you, Pat. I know we catch up pretty regularly, so nice to do it. And hopefully the people listening have found some value in it rather than just two guys talking.
No, I'm sure they pick up some stuff. And I mean, like I said, I always tell everybody, reach out to me. I'll help you out. If I can't help you out, I can tell you who to go to, as far as, figuring stuff out. I don't want guys to ever feel scared or, calling somebody for help. I mean, a lot of guys are nervous and they're scared to call tech support. Don't be that way. Call them, but make sure you have your ducks in a row. Make sure you've checked your voltages and amp draws and that kind of stuff before you call. I mean, you call tech support on the way to the job, and that's a quick way to get hung up on in my book.
Yeah, I got to be honest, is the ringing me up, I'm on my way, is not one that gets a great reaction from me.
Oh, my gosh.
Go on there, have a look at it, give me a call. 45-minute rule is always the best one. If you call him beforehand, all we're doing is guessing with you. That's the reality. And normally we'll give you bad advice, steer you in the wrong direction, and then you waste 45 minutes where you really shouldn't be.
Anytime someone calls me tech support and they answer okay, I'm like, you're lying. Okay is not the answer. I need a number. I need pressures. I need okay is not the answer.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you learn for experience on that one, don't you?
Oh yeah. Oh, gas pressure's okay. Sure it is. What's okay? What's okay? No. It doesn't work that way. So, all right. Well, it's been an hour, man. I appreciate you coming on and talking with me and just going over some stuff. If anyone needs anything, make sure you reach out to me and I'll see what I can do for you guys. So have a good night.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Bye.